Yeah, Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Getting it back, getting the swagger back. Officially did 8 miles after 2 days. If you kept up with the videos for the past 2 days, you know I had to take the last 2 days off to give my ankle a little bit of rest. It bothered me a little bit, but you know, the adrenaline is always going to kick in at some point. You know, the plan was actually to go 6 miles, but made it to 8 because the adrenaline started kicking in. Just got to make sure I'm icing it, giving it the proper rest, things of that nature. It's very important as you get up there in age, take care of your body if you want to remain physically active, right? It's important because it is happening. You know, age, there's no stopping the growth process. So you got to make sure if you want to live a certain lifestyle, you are making sure you're putting the right things in your body and taking care of your body the way it needs to be taken care of, all right? As far as today's Move Swiftly thought, it's been a full week, around a week time, in which I brought to you the book I was reading titled The Cinderella Strategy by Graham Honaker and Jerry Logan. And not exaggerating, 1 week and I have completed the book. It is finished, and I mean, just a page turner, an absolute page turner, man. And you got to understand, the one thing about me, a lot of people got to understand, is the way I got into the sports marketing business was through fundraising. I was hired as a 50-50 raffle ticket seller for the Miami Dolphins fundraising department. All right, I was the one going out selling 50-50 raffle tickets, proving my ability to sell, proving with numbers and things like that, hey, you can go out and sell. And I didn't even know that this department existed when I was in school. So it's, you know, the reason that this book, The Cinderella Strategy, resonated so much with me, because it was recommended to me by someone who's like top dog in the fundraising department at Butler University. And one of the main takeaway, in my opinion, excuse me, but the biggest takeaway from the entire, just the concept in itself, and for those of you who haven't read the book, I strongly recommend you get it. It's about how Butler University leveraged the attention that their basketball program got when they made it to 2 Final Fours, and they used that attention, they used everything that the basketball program was doing, they used that as a way of shining a light on their university and making it so the university benefits, and it still continues to benefit, whether it was and it's through that process, through the move to the Big East, the decision to not necessarily make football the primary sport, to make it so Indiana gets their basketball program because they know the people of Indiana, the Hoosierstown, you know what I'm saying? Hoosierstown, they know they love their basketball, so they paid more attention to their community and what the community is all about. And that's why you see the Butler program doing the things that they're doing today, even though they're not necessarily making a splash Butler specifically. Everywhere Brad Stevens goes, right, he's still representing Butler University. So the main takeaway, the big thing that I took away from this entire story was this whole concept of creating a flagship event, or understanding what your flagship event is, or in other words, your signature event. I have an entire episode on this podcast, this very podcast, that's titled Creating a Signature Event. So understand, when I worked for the Miami Dolphins Foundation, well, if you don't know, the Miami Dolphins have the number one fundraiser in the NFL. It's called the DCC, the Dolphins Cancer Challenge, and that is the flagship event for all the fundraising efforts. And what they did actually throughout my time there is they just simply took the people who was fundraising for the DCC and they made it into one staff, one foundation staff. And the biggest takeaway from what Butler did in that, throughout the entire book, especially the things that I read throughout the book, is that they used the fact that Butler is known for their basketball program, and they used it as a way of leveraging and making it so the entire university had a light shining on them. Understand that there's excuse me. There's one main thing that happened throughout their 2 Final Four runs, and it's very important that you recognize how they took advantage of this thing, because it wasn't planned. They didn't know it was gonna just shape out like this, but it just so happened that one of those Final Four runs that Butler made, the actual Final Four, was in Indianapolis. All right, it was in Indianapolis, right there at Lucas Oil Stadium. I believe in the book it said like 6 miles from their campus or something like crazy like that. And they were telling stories. They were, one of of the things that got described in the book was the fact that they were telling stories about how the students actually went to class before that game, and that was just a way of letting people know, whether it's donors, sponsors, fans, whoever was interested in the university, who's never heard of the university, they were now on some, okay, this is a student body that values their education, that values more than just basketball, and that's what is important, again, because basketball doesn't last forever. So be in that university that can emphasize those things. Sorry, I just finished my 8-mile run and feel a little under the weather, but I'm still going to do what I got to do. So being a university that can emphasize the academic sides along with what they've done on the basketball court, it's a very huge thing when it comes to how you communicate and the way you get your message across to families, get your message across to applicants, get your message across to people who are considering attending the university and the whole nine. In fact, it was a whole chapter talking about how they do things. In fact, I have a chapter, and there's another book out that I do plan on getting to at some point, called The Butler Way, and how they established the culture of what the Butler Way is all about, and making it so, that small school field is still able to recognize and do things that big time programs are able to do. All right. So again, first of all, shout out to Betsy for recommending it. Got a ton out of it. I cannot wait to make a trip out there at some point. At some point, you better believe I am going to make a trip out there, become what I believe the term adopted bulldog. It's cool I love how you recommend the book and you don't tell me that your name is actually mentioned in the book, not once, not twice, but not 3 times. Actually, it's 4 times. I read her name 4 times in the entire book. So I like how you did that. It's pretty smooth. Anyway, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.